I welcome you in this session. Topic of this session is scope of Indian agriculture. In this session, we are going to discuss the scope of Indian agriculture to serve the human being, and we will also examine the need of keeping the pace in agriculture growth. You know, the present agriculture is a dynamic agriculture. Lot of changes is taking place in agroeconomic situations, and we are operating in the globalized economy. Innovations and technology is playing major role in the agriculture sector. Our agriculture production is increasing. We are concerned about producing in agriculture in competitive way, and we are also concerned about the quality produce. But we have to also address the issues of natural resource management and environment, because in long term we have to see the profitability and productivity is maintained. We have made a profound impact, or we have made a significant growth in agriculture. We were food importer, now we have become a potential exporter. There is a need for increase in agriculture production for the growing population and industrial requirement. We need to accelerate the growth of agriculture sector. You know, agriculture has a lot of scope to serve the human being. The most important scope of agriculture is to provide food security to the people of the country. You know, what is the meaning of food security? Food security is basically to make available the food and one have access to it. A broad definition of food security was given in 2001. Food security is a situation that exists when all people at all time have physical, social and economic access to sufficient, safe and nutritious food that meet their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. So, here in food security we have to make available the food grains and all other nutritious food, and then the peoples have the physical and social and economic access for their dietary needs, so that they have a healthy life. What are the resources we have for food security? We have net area sown in our country 140 million hectares, which was only 118 million hectare in 1950-51. Now there is no scope to increase the net area sown in the country, but we can increase our gross cropped area. You see that the gross cropped area was 131.89 million hectare in 1950-51. Now the gross cropped area has increased to 195.25 million hectares in 2011-12. This is mainly due to the increase in the net irrigated area and the gross cropped area. The cropping intensity has increased from 111 percentage to the 138.67 percentage in 2011-12. Now we have to see what are the target population we have to serve by the agriculture sector. Our population was 361 millions in 1951. We have increased now 1210 million in 2011. But you see the share of the rural population is also declining. In 1950-51 we were 82% from the rural areas. This has declined in 1981 76.9%. In 2011 the population from the rural area is 68.9%. Mainly the peoples from the rural area, they are engaged in the farming occupations. So the less peoples are producing for the more people now. Another thing is that we have changed, our population has changed their food habits and living of standard. Earlier people used to eat the coarse cereals, now we are moving from coarse cereals to the fine cereals, then vegetables, other nutritious foods. So there is a demand for diversified agriculture produce. Now in this slide we can see what is the availability. Our food grain production was 50.82 million tons in 1950-51. Our food grains production has increased more than 5-fold to 264.77 million tons in 2013-14. Our rice wheat production also increased. The other cereals production also increased. Then pulses production was increased from 8.41 million ton in 1951 to 19.27 in 2013-14. But this increase in the production of pulses is not sufficient, because the per capita availability of pulses has declined from 60 gram per day to 41 gram per day in 2013. Edible oil availability was increased from 9.03 million tons in 1951 to 21.17 million tons in 2013-14. Then per capita availability of the oil seeds has increased from 3.2 kg per annum to 15.8 kg per annum. In case of fruits, we can see the production has increased from 28.62 million tons in 1991-92 to 88.98 million tons in 2013-14. And vegetable production also increased from 58.53 tons in 1991-91 to 162.9 million tons in 2013-14. Milk production has increased more than 14 times. The milk production was only 17 million tons in 1950-51. Now we have reached to 137.7 million tons in 2013-14. Fish production was increased also. Fish production was only 0.75 million tons in 1951 to 9.58 million tons in 2013-14. So there is a drastic change in the agriculture production. There is a large scope for increase in agriculture production. When we compare our productivity with the other countries, we will find that there is a tremendous scope to further increase our production and productivity. In India, paddy productivity is 3,623 kg per hectare, whereas the world average is 4,486 kg per hectare. China is the leading country in case of productivity of the paddy. Then in case of wheat, our productivity is almost equal to the world average productivity. In maize, we have very less productivity compared to the world average. World average productivity is 5,500 kg per hectare. USA has a productivity of 9,970 kg per hectare. Almost 4 times productivity of maize is there in USA. In case of sugarcane productivity, we are almost equal to the world average. We are near to the Brazil, which is the leading country. In case of groundnut, we are equal to the world average productivity, but we are quite below from the China productivity. There is a tremendous scope for increasing the productivity and production in order to provide the food security. Now, what is the option? We have to increase our productivity in vertical way. We cannot increase our net sown area, but we have to increase our productivity by cultivating the high yielding varieties. Then we have to improve our production technology. We need to use efficiently our resources. Then we have to give training to the farmers, and we have to make available them the latest technology. We have to also increase the accessibility of the quality of nutritious food to the people by increasing their income, so that they can purchase the food from the market. Next scope is the efficient use of the knowledge of agriculture sciences. The use of science and technology has enhanced our productivity. Agriculture science as a knowledge has been derived from the biology, physics, chemistry, economics, social sciences, geography, geology, agrometeorology and engineering. So there is a tremendous scope to apply knowledge of this subject in agriculture sciences, and we can increase our productivity. What is required? We have to have a good coordination, to have multidisciplinary approach to advance the agriculture resources, so that we can increase the productivity. We can use the biotechnology and genetic engineering, so that our crop variety can be improved with the desired characters. Then another scope in the agriculture sector is the efficient use of natural resources. You know, natural resources affect the overall atmosphere of the crop plants. These atmospheric factors like the solar radiation, water, air, CO2, etc. are underused. We need to develop various plant types so we can use this solar radiation, water and air, CO2 in efficient way. You know, the plants creates their food from solar by using the solar radiation, solar energy. Only the upper side of the leaves are open, they use the solar radiation, but lower side of the leaves they could not use the solar radiation. So we need to develop such type of varieties, we can use efficiently the solar energy. Then we need to manage our soil by using the land use capabilities, then with proper tillage, irrigation, checking erosions, and then avoiding the water logging and balance manuring is required. Then we have to also do the prevention of the land aggressions. We have to see that the conservation of rain harvesting, we have to do the irrigation with higher water use efficiency. There is a need to maintain the quality of the water, then there is a need to improve the groundwater potential. Then there is a need to develop the new plant types. As we have discussed, they use limited these natural resources. We need to develop plant types that are able to utilize radiant energy at maximums. Using this radiant energy, the plants synthesize their foods. So leaves of the plants may be semi-erect or erect with narrow lamina. This we have to do. Then we can reduce the plant size which are responsive to the fertilizer and irrigation. Then the plant types having no or very less photorespiration we have to develop. Then next scope for agriculture is we have to develop the multiple resistance crop varieties. We can use the biotechnology and genetic engineering to evolve new varieties that have resistance against the adverse effect of the biotic and abiotic stress. Biotic stress is due to the pest and disease, then abiotic stress is due to the climatic factors like drought and water inefficiency, all these things. Various varieties have been already developed. Suppose for biotic stress in rice, there are Dipti, Rama, Ratna, Sasyasiri, TQM6, IR20. These are the varieties which are resistant to the stem borer in rice. For resistance from the shoot variety in wheat, important varieties are like UPD8, UP85042, SD2307, PDW215, PBW255, Raj3214. For abiotic stress, we have drought tolerance variety in rice like Sahabagi, DRR Dhans 43, Jaldi Dhan 6. For drought tolerance variety in wheat is like PBW 527, HI 1531, MP 3288. Then there is a great scope for commercialization of the agriculture. Agriculture is not only for producing the food and other livelihood measure, but it is a profession for raising the socio-economic status of the farmers or farming community. The objective in case of commercial agriculture is to increase the income of the farmer, then just not the production, because they have to also give good education to their children, they also have requirement for their health, they also need a good living standards. We have made a concentrated efforts of research, extension and suitable policy mix made us self-sufficient, and also we are in surplus in food grain production. Now there is a potential to become a world largest exporter. Our farmers has become a now open to the global market, because after the globalization we cannot keep our farmers in isolation. We are open now to the global economy. Commercialization of agriculture, what we have to do? We have to train our farmers, we have to make aware them about the international market. Then we have to make the efforts to equip the farmers with the managerial confidence. We need to build the farmers with the confidence that they can grow for the international market. Then we have to develop educate infrastructure for marketing, for their storage, for warehousing, for grading, all these things. Then there is a need for cooperative effort for development of marketing structure. Recently, government has taken an initiative for the e-agriculture marketing by creating a national agriculture market platform. Now another scope for agriculture is the sustainable development. After independence we have achieved sufficient food grain production. What we have done for achieving the self-sufficiency in food grain production, that we have increased area under the crops. Then we have developed the water resources for irrigation. Then we have increased the input supply, particularly the fertilizers, the pesticides and high yielding variety seeds. Then we have created the market infrastructure and we have given the price support also too. Then we have developed the high yielding varieties which are responsive to these higher inputs like the fertilizer, pesticides and seeds. So this increase in the agriculture production by utilizing the technology of the fertilizer, seed and irrigation water, there are a number of the side effects. We have created a number of problems like land degradation, pesticides residue, then gene erosions, then there is atmospheric water pollution. Here in case of the sustainable agriculture, dependence on the use of synthetic fertilizer, pesticides and other agrochemicals is very less. We use judiciously these chemicals and with the natural farm resources. Then in judicious use of irrigation and which are creating many problems has to be removed. So, here we can define the sustainable agriculture. Sustainable agriculture is a balanced management system for renewable resources such as soil, wildlife, forest, crop, fish, livestock, plant genetic resources and ecosystem without their degradation. And sustainable agriculture basically to provide the food and livelihood for current and future generation by maintaining or improving the ecosystem services of these resources. So, a sustainable agriculture system has to be economically viable and environmentally sustainable both with short and long term perspective. We have to see in the long term perspective also, because for future generation we have to keep our resources maintained. It has to prevent the land degradation and soil erosion. It has to replenish the nutrients and control weeds, pests and disease through the biological and cultural practices. So, here we can have a comparison between sustainable agriculture and the modern agriculture. In case of sustainable agriculture, we maintain the plant nutrients by using the farmyard manures, compost, green manures, biofertilizer, oil cakes, crop residue, agro waste. In case of modern agriculture, we use fertilizers. Pest control is done through crop rotation and cultural practices and biological methods in sustainable agriculture. Whereas in modern agriculture, we use toxic chemicals. In sustainable agriculture, we maintain our resources by utilizing only the limited amount of the natural resources like forest, the fisheries, underground water and the renewable resources that do not exceed from that rate of regeneration. In case of the modern agriculture, the rate of extraction exceeds the rate of regeneration. Then the quality of food is very good in that is safe in case of sustainable agriculture, whereas in modern agriculture food material may contain toxic residue. So, what are the practices we have to follow for sustainable development of agriculture? We have to follow the soil and water conservation techniques. Then we have to follow the crop rotation to mitigate the weeds, disease, insect pest problem, increase soil productivity and minimize soil erosion. Then we have to follow the integrated nutrient management in case of sustainable development. Then we have to utilize irrigation water very efficiently. We have to follow the integrated pest management practices. Then we have to follow the integrated weed management in case of sustainable agriculture development. Then another scope for agriculture to increase the production is to risk management in agriculture. We know the agriculture is the biological nature. The output of agriculture is influenced by the law of nature. The cultivators and farmers have very limited control on the nature. So, there is a need to use deliberate and knowledge approach to risk management in case of agriculture. Risk management here means the farming with confidence. There are three types of risk involved in agriculture. One is the production risk, another is the marketing risk, third is the financial risk. For production risk, we have various sources like weather, pest, disease, technology, machinery, efficiency and then quality of inputs. For managing the production risks, we have to follow the crop insurance practices, we have to diversify our enterprises, we can go for the contract production. Marketing risk is very important because market convert the production activity into the financial success. Basically, the weather and government action can lead a dramatic change in the crop and livestock product prices, which ultimately affect the income of the farmers. There is a need for informed and balanced approach for making the marketing decisions by focusing on long term profitability. Then there is a need for knowledge of supply and demand of agricultural commodity in the local market on the part of the farmers, and also they should have knowledge about the average prices received in the previous year in order to prepare a strategy to avoid the marketing risk. The third risk is the financial risks. Now, there are three basic components in the financial risk. One is the cost and availability of the debt capital. Then second is the ability to meet the cash flow need in a timely manner. Then we have to also maintain the equity or assets at the farm level. So, there is a need to avoid the financial risk. Maintaining financial risk is required the records. We should have a complete record at farm level. We can prepare the various financial statements which provide history of the business and the data needed to calculate the financial performance. We can prepare the financial statements like balance sheet, income statement and projected and actual cash flow. Then we have to calculate the ratio like debt to asset, debt to equity. These are the important ratio which help in monitoring the performance in the agriculture sectors. Then another scope for agriculture is the organic farming. Organic farming is the most important because we have seen we have increased our production by using the chemical fertilizers, pesticides, other chemicals. But they have created a number of the problems, like we have seen that there is a decline in the fertility and productivity of soils, there is a soil salinization problem, there is a waterlogging problem, there is appearance of micronutrient deficiency. So, organic farming, what we have to do? We have to do cultivation, we have to do farming without using the chemical inputs. We have to use the natural on farm organic inputs to cater the need of the production system. Then we have to use the biological pest control methods for plant protection. Then we have to conserve our resources to improve the quality of environment and agriculture produce. Area under organic farming is increasing. Area under organic certification is 5.71 million hectares in the country. There are cultivatable areas 1.49 million hectares. We are producing 1.35 million tons every year. We are exporting a quite a good amount of the organic produce. Area under organic farming may grow further with the refinement of the production technology and value addition in organic produce. Sikkim is the state which has been declared as a completely organic state. Madhya Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Rajasthan covered largest area under the organic farming. You can see the another scope for agriculture sector, the post harvest management. Post harvest is the most important activity because it will directly increase the productivity or income of the farmers. There are large amount of post harvest losses. In case of cereals, we can see the 4.65 to 5.99% produce is lost. In case of fruits and vegetable, we can see 4.58 to 15.88% product is lost. In case of milk, there are 0.92% product is lost. In case of fisheries, you can see the loss of the produce is 10.52%. In case of guava, you see the loss is 15.8%. In case of mango, the loss is 9.2%. In case of apple, the loss is 10.4%. So, there is quite a good scope to reduce this wastage by following the post harvest management practices. It will increase the income of the farmers. We can see that this wastage occur at all level, at the farmer level, at the transporter level, at the wholesaler level, at the retailer level. The government also taking a good initiative to stop this post harvest losses. The government has created 51,858 post harvest infrastructure. Then they have created 1,106 market infrastructure to prevent the post harvest losses. Then another scope for the agriculture sector is to diversify the agriculture. There are available diversities which has to be exploited to make farming more sustainable. We can follow the farming system approach to diversify our agriculture sectors. Now, there is a time to summing up this session. We have discussed that there is a great scope for diversification in agriculture. There is great scope for agriculture, for security and to increase the agriculture production. We can increase our agriculture production by efficient use of the knowledge of agriculture sciences. There is a scope for efficient use of natural resources. Then we have to develop new plant. We have to develop the multiple resistant crop varieties. Then we have to go for commercial agriculture. Then we have to also follow the sustainable agriculture practices. Then we have to minimize the risk involved in agriculture. I thank you all in this session. Thank you very much.